A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Utkarsh Bharadwaj and I am going to talk about cytoplasmic stress granules in the role of cytoplasmic stress granule in metastasis. An organism when put to stress prioritizes activities which is essential for its immediate survival and abandoning or postponing less pressing concerns like watching TV shows. So this is true at cellular level too. What happens when cell encounters stress, for example heat, shock, oxidative stress, etc. Cytoplasmic granular aggregates are formed, which you can see over here in purple color, which is due to merging of DIA1, which is stained blue, and helicase, which is stained in red. These granular structures are called stress granules because they are formed during stress. Stress granules are non-membranous, transient dynamic cytoplasmic structures which under environmental stress sequester non-polysomal RNA bound to subset of 48S pre-initiation factors and specific RNA binding proteins. Ever since its discovery by Maurer in 1988, who showed that in tomato cells that cytoplasmic heat shock granules are formed from precursor particles and associated with specific set of mRNAs. They also showed that these mRNAs exclude those mRNAs which encode for chaperones and other stress responsive proteins. Now, stress granule functions. Ever since its discovery, its function was in research, and what it turned out to be that stress granules store, protect mRNA from degradation, and thus preserving energy by sequestering highly expressed transcripts. And also, in stress recovery, they rapidly restore synthesis of proteins. For example, housekeeping genes. One thing to be noted here that some mRNAs are excluded from stress granules. For example, chaperones. Those encode for chaperones, for example, HSP70 and DNA repair enzymes. How their stress granules are assembled? Any translation inhibition can lead to stress granule formation. What happens is when polysomes when cell experiences stress, polysomes run off mRNA machinery because of phosphorylation of EIF2 alpha. This causes translation initiation stallation and binding of stress granule nucleating proteins with mRNA causes primary stress granule nucleation, which later on forms secondary stress granule assembly by binding of many other proteins, which later on forms tertiary aggregate, which are mRNA storage granules. So, what is composition of stress granule? There are many proteins associated with stress granule. Here I have listed few of them. These are stress granule nucleating proteins, RNA binding proteins, translation proteins, etc. I will briefly talk about stress granule nucleating proteins, taking example of G3BP, which now known as G3BP1, and DIA1, and RNA binding proteins, taking YB1 as an example. Starting with nucleating proteins, DIA1, which is T cell internal antigen 1, it is associated with apoptosis, and G3BP1, which is associated with RAS-CAP SSP binding protein associated with DNA unbinding. So, these two structures have domains which help them into dimerization. This is for DIA1 and LC and ID for G3BP1. Here, in separate experiments, it has been seen that they separate knockdowns impair stress granule assembly even in the arsenate-induced oxidative stress. Their separate overexpression induce stress granule nucleation even in the absence of stress. moving on to RNA binding proteins, taking YB1 as an example, YB1 is Y-box binding protein 1. Y-box are whole shot domains in genome. So YB1 is highly conserved whole shot domain family protein that binds to DNA and RNA. Cytoplasmic YB1 activates translation of a specific transcript by binding to UTRs. For example, it binds to 5' UTR of twist and snail mRNA and mediate epithelial to mesenchymal transition and metastatic breast cancer cells. Moreover, other studies have shown that metastatic tumors have overexpression of YB1. Separately, overexpression of YB1 correlates with poor patient survival and drug resistance in diverse tumor types. So, it led many scientists to wonder whether YB1 is also playing any role in cancer and other things related to cancer. So, now I am going to talk about this paper by Somashekharan, which was published in Journal of Cell Biology in 2015, who showed that YB1 regulates stress granule formation and tumor progression by translationally activating G3BP1 synthesis. Their previous observation in human sarcoma cells that YB1 regulates acute synthesis of proteins. These proteins were essential in many biological processes like metabolism, cell stress response, etc. So they thought these proteins are actually involved in after stress is given to cells. So they wondered whether in human sarcomas YB1 has any role with stress granule nucleation, and if it is, then what is the role in tumor invasion and metastasis? So in first experiment they tried, did this in osteosarcoma cells. They tried to question whether YB1 co-localizes with G3BP1 in stress granules during stress. This video shows that it does. This is YB1 protein tagged with green fluorescent protein. This is G3BP1 tagged with red fluorescent protein, and this is merged in it. These are individual osteosarcoma cells, and this hollow black thing is nucleus. In experiment 2, they tried to answer whether YB1 have any role to play with G3BP protein synthesis. What they found was, yes, it does. When they knocked down YB1, they saw that G3BP1 protein synthesis also gets lower, even in without stress and in oxidative stress induced by arsenite and H2O. And secondly, they went on to see the mRNA levels of YB1 and G3BP1. In knockdown of YB1, they found that yes, YB1 was obviously will be less because it is knocked down. But in G3BP1, that even in YB1 is knocked down, this G3BP1 mRNA level is high. So they concluded that YB1 post-transcriptionally regulates G3BP1 synthesis. In experiment 3, they tried to see whether YB1 knockdown impedes stress granule formation and whether it has any role to do with apoptosis. So by confocal imaging and quantification, this is quantification data. They showed that yes, in YB1 knockdown, stress granule number of stress granules does reduce as compared to control after arsenate stress is given. Arsenate stress oxidative stress, and when the stress is released, it is also correlating with their hypothesis. Now moving to apoptosis study, they showed that yes, YB1 knockdown cells shows more apoptosis than as compared to control. So their hypothesis was correct. That it is true. In separate, moving on to in vivo studies, they wanted to show that yes, it is true in vivo as well. They what it tried to see that whether YB1 expression strongly correlates with G3BP1 in human sarcoma. They got 153 sarcoma patient samples and they did immunohistochemistry with YB1 and G3BP1, and they found different grades of staining. So they graded from 0 to plus 3 plus. They graded from 0 to 3 plus and tabulated the data. What is interesting in this, that there were no such cases in which YB1 is highly expressed and G3BP1 was very low, and conversely also was found. Actually this will be this plot. This is this sketch. Most of the cases were found that YB1 were found to have YB1 expression is high and also G3BP1 is high. So this is very significant that yes, YB1 expression strongly correlates with G3BP1 in human sarcoma. This also correlates with in vivo studies in which they knocked down YB1 and in osteosarcoma cells, and they implanted in renal capsules of the mice. And by confocal imaging and quantification, they showed that yes, number of stress granule is reduced in knockdown YB1. Also, they did the Western plotting and showed that yes, G3BP1 expression is also good. So they got some answers by in vitro and in vivo studies that G3BP1 post-transcriptionally regulates YB1 regulates G3BP1 synthesis post-transcriptionally. This in turn controls this in turn gives rise to stress granule assembly, and stress granule inhibit apoptosis. In another also in the previous observations, they saw that G3BP1 expression is inversely related to sarcoma patient survival, which can be seen from this graph, that high level of G3BP is poorly related to patient survival. So they wondered whether G3BP has any role with stress granule assembly, and if it does, then what is the role in tumor invasion and metastasis? So they did they knocked on G3BP and saw stress granules in vivo, where in knockdown you can see that there are no stress granules, but in control there are many stress granules, which is quantified by this graph. In tumor invasion studies, they knocked down G3BP1 in osteosarcoma cells and transplanted in renal capsules of mice. And what they got was, in knockdown G3BP1 case, tumor cells behaved like benign tumor, just pushing the kidney cells, and whereas in control it invaded into the kidney. In control, so G3BP1, so they concluded that G3BP1 has role with tumor invasion. In continuation with the previous experiment, they also saw that osteosarcoma cells in kidney metastasize to lungs in control, which you can see here, and by the quantification of the same. But in knockdown of G3BP, there was no metastasis. One thing to be noted here is that enhanced metastasis is not due to proliferation, increase or decrease of proliferation rate of the cancer, which can be shown by Ki67 staining, which is proliferation rate marker, which stains both the control and knockdown G3BP tissues equally. So there was no significant difference between them. So they concluded that in human sarcomas, YB1 post-transcriptionally regulates G3BP1 synthesis, which in turn induces stress granule formation, which leads to tumor invasion and metastasis, which also tells that it is linked with poor patient survival. Moreover, stress granule, they also found that stress granule inhibit apoptosis. So they said that maybe YP1 is playing protective effects against oxidative stress via stress granule assembly during chemotherapy and radiation, and that might help tumor survival and protection. What they don't know that how this happens. So future this has to be worked out. And one reason they suppose that maybe stress granule sequester mRNAs which encode factors that inhibit invasion and metastasis. My motivation towards this topic came from Journal of Cell Biology, January 2016 issue, and where these two, Anderson and Kirshaw's review on mRNA trials was given, and a highlight on Somashekharan's paper was also there, and also experiencing deep loss of my father last year due to cancer. I thought to share this new thing to juniors and everyone that maybe this can do something good. So these are my references.
But anyway, I think you were very clear. I liked your, you were very clear and you topic was excellent, and I think you had complete clarity over the topic.
Actually, last year when I was at internship, I got this topic on stress granule and its relation with DNA method transferase, which also plays a role in stress granule formation. It actually shuttles from nucleus to cytoplasm, sequestered mRNA and takes into stress granule. And more interesting point is that they don't have nucleolocalizing signal. DNFT. So I thought that it can be. In fact, fascinated me that how this happens.
You also published it.
Can you tell me that how ribosome senses heat shock?
Ribosome doesn't sense heat shock. Heat shock is sensed by certain kinases. Okay. These kinases phosphorylate at serine 51 of eukaryotic initiation factor 2 alpha. This causes the tertiary structure that you remember from Sir's class biochemistry, that GDP bound tRNA methionine and related and bound to EIF2 alpha. EIF2, it doesn't activate until 2 alpha is available. So when phosphorylation is done, so it is not it will not attach to ribosome machinery. So basically that's how it functions.